So, Nick, thank you so much. Welcome. An absolute pleasure to be talking with you. I just want to introduce you quickly for our viewers. So, you have worked extensively across TV, film, and theatre as an actor and a writer. You've worked with the RSC, the Royal National Theatre, Royal Court. You've done so many TV shows and so much film work. Waking the Dead, Midsummer Murders, The Iron Lady. Your IMDb profile is massive. It is enormous. And you're probably best known for the Tudors. And you actually won an IFTA Award for that, for Best Supporting Actress. Actor.
Generally,
you do everything.
These days I'm gender fluid. I'll take it whichever way it comes.
Yeah. And as I say, you've written numerous works for TV and film, and you still are continually. And you do an extraordinary amount of work supporting other actors via your website, nickdunning.com. So I want to start with your website and how you're supporting actors, because you are producing videos, articles, blogs, and multiple online courses. So what was it that led to this?
Well, really, as we were saying just before we started, it came to me because initially when I left drama school, which was in 1970, and I felt this sense of being abandoned, really, at the end of it all. I felt like we were left, trained, and I knew how to stage fight. I knew how to go ma, and I knew how to kind of, but I didn't really know what the business was like. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't feel that I was confident enough for the business. I didn't feel I was relaxed enough for the business. I didn't feel I was kind of ready, really. So, and I think we were kind of like left to our own devices, which to a certain extent there's a lot of goodness in that, I think, because it means you have to learn on the go. But at the same time, I felt like I'd been let go from this nest, and then the sort of the mother goose had just disappeared.
Yeah. And
I didn't know where to turn to, and I couldn't turn to my friends and peers because they were all in the same boat as me. I don't know. How do you get confident for it? You just do it. Oh, okay.
So
that's easy. Other people say, oh yeah, you have to have something to think about while you're having an audition. Great. What? How do you develop your confidence? Why? I mean, what are the steps you actually put into place for that to happen? How do you develop, an understanding? How do you develop the resilience to handle this business? Because this business, as I'm sure you know, I mean, you said you've been in it like 10 years, it's not easy.
It's not.
But it's not.
No.
It's a business. It's like, and, talent will get you so far, but talent isn't everything. Being really good, you've got to be able to do other things as well. So it came about really as a means of opening up and fulfilling my own needs, what I needed, and from being able to support other people to help actors. And I like that thing, like sending the elevator down a bit as well. I love the idea of that, and sort of supporting actors and bringing the next generation along with us so that we can feel a bit more empowered. Because I think that's one of the biggest issues that I find with actors these days is issues of confidence and self-esteem.
Yes.
And it's huge. And it's part of our innate capabilities because we have to be vulnerable. And there's this weird thing you've got to be. It's like completely vulnerable and totally open and totally kind of, raw and utterly in the moment. And yet at the same time, you've got to be like a rhinoceros, who has this kind of power. You've got to be able to take all the shit that's thrown at you. And it's a very difficult balance.
It is.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. So you actually are trained as an NLP practitioner and a hypnotist.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a lot of what leads into your work. So can you just kind of explain this a little bit and how it can be used by actors?
Actually, well, for me, what it was a little bit of my sort of story of how I got into this sort of stuff, the sort of the mind stuff, because I think it's all like most actors, we know that, when you're performing, it's your mind, your body, your spirit, your heart, your soul, your everything. That's all in there. And so that was quite a good idea to develop those things, because that's actually what we put it out there. So I think we kind of know that. But I went through a very difficult time in my sort of first year or so, and I was going up to York Theatre Royal to do a play up there, to do Algernon in The Importance of Being Earnest. And it was a really nice rehearsal process, great part, great play. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
The only thing that went wrong for me was that just on the night of the opening night, I got this crippling anxiety and utter fear and terrible kind of sense of panic and loss of self-esteem, loss of everything. Or I just didn't want to go on the stage. So I thought, I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to go. So this was just before the press night as well. not great at timing, but I thought, okay, I really can't do this. So what I did was I went back to my digs that I was staying in York, and I went in the poxy little bed sit, and I kind of drew the curtains, and I sat down, I turned all the lights off, and I just thought, this is it. God, no, I'm just not going. That's me. And I was so happy to just sit there. This was like, 2.5 hours before the show. And I was not going anywhere. And sometime later, can you imagine? Yeah, I know. And so sometime later, what happened, there was a doorbell rang. And I opened the door, and there was a woman there called Annie Castledine, who is a director who passed away. And she was a friend of mine. She was working around, and she knew something was up. She knew me. And she came in and she started talking to me, and gradually built my confidence back up again, and said, come on, you can do this, it's okay. Then you play. What are you worried about? Essentially. And so I managed to get back on, and I did the show, and I came off, and I vowed that I was never going to let that happen again. And I thought, what did happen? What was that? Because I'd been actually okay. And then suddenly I was overwhelmed by this fear. Yeah. Where did that come from?
Like flicking a switch.
Absolutely like flicking a switch. And I had no idea where it came from, what happened, or what I could do about it. So I started to look into what that was. I got very fascinated by psychology, which is a great thing, I think, for actors to do anyway. Because we all, that's what we're engaged in and dealing with.
Yes.
We're being other psychologists, this is kind of what we do. And so I started to learn about this, and I was looking around, and I did a bit of yoga, a bit of meditation, trying to figure things out that way. And then I went into a bookshop, and I found a book called Frogs into Princes by a guy called Richard Bandler, who was the co-creator of a thing called NLP.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it, I didn't know what it was, didn't have a clue. I still think it's the world's worst title. Neuro-linguistic programming. Rebrand, I would. But anyway.
Yeah.
And in it, there was this question, and this is what resonated with me. It was a question that said, if you were to go to sleep tonight and you woke up in the morning and you knew that a miracle had occurred in your life, what would that look like, sound like, and feel like, so that you would know beyond the shadow of a doubt that a miracle had occurred?
That's good.
Isn't it kind of like, and for me, I just thought, does this work with actors? And I read the book, and it didn't say actors are not allowed to read this book. So I carried on reading, and I thought, this is interesting. And I then started to think, well, what do I mean by that? What do I mean? What would I like to see? I wanted to see, more confidence. I wanted to see and hear that, good reviews coming in. I wanted to feel more confident in everything I was doing. I wanted to see the vision of success coming my way. That's what I really, really wanted. And I thought, well, that's great to know all that, but how do you go about doing it? So then I carried on learning a bit, and then I eventually learned a bit more, and I kind of studied more and more about this stuff, and I found out this thing called NLP, which is basically neuro-linguistic programming. Is the three parts. Is the neuro, which is neuroscience, which is essentially what happens inside the brain when certain activities take place. the linguistic part of it was how language is used and how we use language to influence people, to change things, to make things happen. I thought, that's what actors do. We do this all, with actioning, things like that. What do I want in this scene? What do I want to persuade someone to do this. That's an influence. So I kind of thought, this is what I want to do. And the programming bit, I didn't like the sound of that. And in fact, I don't never use that word now. I call it patterning. And patterning is more to do with the patterns that run in our mind. And the analogy I often use is that you say, well, we're all familiar with kind of with our phones. And, if you've got an iPhone 4 or an Android that's 5 or 6 years old, you get these messages now and again that says time to upgrade your operating system. And that is what I think we all need to do as actors, is kind of upgrade the way we think about ourselves and the business, our attitude to it, our part within it, our response to it. And that's where all the kind of, the resilience comes from. It's where the relaxation comes from. It's where the confidence comes from. It's where your creativity comes from. So I went on that. Then one of the things on the training course that I did, you become certified as a master practitioner and then certified as a hypnotist as well. And hypnosis is one of those things that always causes people to go, uh-oh. What is this about? Yeah. Dr. Ming. Yes. What do you mean? Spooky. And the way I describe it is like this, is that as far as I'm concerned, hypnosis doesn't really exist. At least not in the way that people think, that. Pendulums and just sort of Svengali sort of thing. That's not what I think it's about, or certainly not what it's useful for. What it's really useful for is what is an organic, natural process anyway, which is taking what's happening in your life and allowing certain suggestions to have more impact than others. It's sort of seeding ideas. And if you think about it, if you can seed ideas of confidence inside people, then those flowers grow. You can seed self-esteem as being something that is a birthright, is natural, is organic, and is who you are already without any effort whatsoever. Then that can begin to make people feel better, and it can begin to make them feel better on the inside, because when you change on the inside, you change on the outside.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of take on it. If sometimes you might have heard the word trance used. Trance is a naturally occurring state that happens inside our mind and body all the time. When you feel a little bit sleepy before you go to sleep, that's a trance. When you wake up in the morning, you're really bright and bubbly, that's a trance. When you're driving along and you're driving a car and you suddenly realize you've missed the exit. Where did you go? Yeah.
You can't remember the journey at all.
You can't remember the journey.
No.
It's just one of those things. It's just something's happened, and it's a naturally occurring state. Another example I use is like when you go into, if you ever go into a lift and you press the button for floor 7, you get in and up, you get out, and you're on floor 5. What? Well, on some level, you press the wrong button. That's what happened. But that's the trance state, which allows you not to be quite as focused and as in the moment as you can be. And being in the moment is pretty much what acting is all about.
And it's something that we find very hard to do, isn't it? Because we're either thinking about yesterday or, something's bothered us from our past, or we're thinking about what we're having for dinner or next week. It's very, I wonder throughout the day how much time we actually spend in the moment. I bet it's very rare.
I think it's very rare. So it's something like anything, though. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
And it's a practice. It's why mindfulness that you are talking about, and why yoga works. They are all wonderful things because they all encourage the notion of being present. in the moment. And the weirdest thing is you can really tell when somebody's not present. So, for example, I'm hoping that you're feeling that I'm present with you now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. But, you know, if I wasn't, and if I started to, you know, just not be with you.
Your mind's gone off. Yeah.
You can probably feel it now.
Totally. Anyway. And the energy's gone completely, yeah.
You feel it, right?
Yes.
And that's the weird thing. And that's what acting is like. That's what self-taping is like. That's what going in the audition room is like. You want to wake people up. And the way you wake them up is by being in the moment.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Very true. Do you think the, you know, this sort of, talking about programming, the things that either aren't sort of in our brains working for us at the moment, is that just things from our past that are catching us up, or is it just things we haven't learned? Or
it can be a variety of things, because sometimes it's skill based, as you say. You know, I don't know how to be confident on stage. If you don't have the knowledge, then you can't do it.
No,
it's just not there. You know, sometimes it can be. Certainly can be from the past, no doubt about it. You know, we're all products of our environment. We all went through, you know, the school system or a school system. We all had, you know, that horrendous teacher who killed us and made us, you know, and we all had the teacher who said, do you know what, you can do this. You know, we all had little touches, you know. So, you know, those kind of things happen. And certainly, you know, parental environment makes a difference, you know, parental kind of coaching, as it were, or parenting that we experience, the schools, the peers, the way you grow up, all of those things have an influence, absolutely. But none of them are conditions that can't be changed, not one. Not at all. And actors often kind of go, yeah, but, you know, I'm never going to get the job because she's so beautiful, or I'm never going to get the job because, you know, she went to that drama school, not this one, or she came from or he came from a theatre family, and, you know, or he's posh, or he's this, or, you know, whatever. We have all this stuff that we all talk about. And there are always exceptions to every single rule. People work in this business from any walk of life, any sex, any gender, everywhere, all the time. Maybe not enough. That's certainly true, but they do. And those blocks that hold us back are the things that you can change. Yeah.
I do wonder, you know, how many people don't even get to drama school. They don't even get, and they are phenomenal. They could be phenomenal actors, but they can't even get past that stage because they have so much trouble with confidence.
Absolutely.
You know, I remember some of what I would thought of were the best actors in my group at Central, and to see now 10 years later who's actually making it, it's very different. It's a very different story. Because
same with me. There were 21 of us at RADA, and I think there are probably 4 or 5 of us left.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's 30, 40 years, isn't it? Nearly 35 years, something like that now. And there was one girl who's just the most fantastic singer, incredibly funny, had us all in hysterics, was the world just brilliant kind of performer. Gave it up, didn't want to do it, couldn't hack the business.
Really?
Couldn't hack it. But, you know, it's not to do with talent. Talent isn't what it's about. It's a combination. You have to have some degree of talent, I think, but talent itself is changing what people want. But you know, the ability to be able to put it across is something else, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to withstand all this stuff, all those no's, you know.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, people often say to me, you know, you've had a great career, and I'm very blessed, no doubt about it. I'm very grateful for, you know, everything that's come my way, no doubt. Really, really, really thrilled. Yeah. And yet, you know, there's probably, I probably didn't get 2,000 jobs.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? It's like, not that many, I don't know how many, I couldn't tell you, but loads and loads and loads, you know, because that's the way the business is. That's the way it goes.
And you know what, being a producer and sitting on the other side, I know that the reasons that you don't get the jobs are stupid, and it's usually nothing to do with your actual ability. Nothing. It's just things going on behind the scenes that, you know, it just changes a decision.
Totally. Yeah, so on a jigsaw thing, like there's a family, there's a brother and the sister, and you just happen to look too tall for them.
Yeah.
Unless that's the particular thing they're looking for, or maybe there's different. You just don't quite look as if you could be brother and sister.
Yeah.
Or whatever the reason is, but generally speaking, I would say the hardest thing I have, and we all have, I think, in dealing with, the rejection, is that we take it personally. And we do feel, oh my God, it's like my soul has been ripped from me because and actually all that's happened is someone has said, no, you haven't get it.
Yeah.
That's all that. But that doesn't take away the pain.
No, it doesn't.
And the pain that we feel when we don't get the gig is, that's as real for me today as it was 30 years ago. No doubt about it. What's changed is the way that I deal with that. For me, I don't know if that's useful to share, but what I do is I kind of I feel the hit, because there is always a hit.
Yes.
You didn't get the gig. That always feels bad. And then I kind of consider it, I focus on it, I think through it, and I think, was there anything I could have done? What could I have done to have improved it? Could it have been better? Could I have done something? Was there something, just to take it as a learning situation, not necessarily to say I could have made a change here or there, because obviously the decision is, you never know exactly why you don't get the gig anyway. But is there something I could have done? And then I go, right, okay, I'll learn from that, take it as a learning curve, and then push it to one side, put it behind me, and let it go. That's the biggest thing. If I every coaching session I do, we always end with a let it go. Just let it go.
And focus on the next one and move on.
Focus on the next one, move on, let it go.
Exactly.
When we've all, there's one job that would have changed my entire life, which I didn't get. I'm not going to say what it was, but I'll give you a clue. Magic wands.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh.
Right?
Really?
Yeah. So, I came down to the last 2 or 3 in this area.
Oh, my gosh, Nick.
Yeah, right? So you kind of go, yeah, but I went at the time, that killed me. And then you think, okay, right, let this go. Really let it go. And when eventually, it took a bit longer, that one. When you do finally decide, okay, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to let it go. That's not for me, that gig. It's just not. Not got my name. That's all.
I know.
That's fine. And then when you truly let it go, something else comes up. And that's when the next thing comes, which is meant to be yours.
Yeah. Because if you hold on to that, it makes it worse, doesn't it?
It makes it worse because when you hold on to the suffering or the pain of losing the thing, you just feel bad. And then, but you're also, if you think about it, you're not in the present anymore.
Yes.
You're already in the, if only I could have had that. Or, I wish my life would be so good if I had that. But you're not here in the moment, which is where everything lives.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
So that ability to be able to kind of recognize the stuff from the past, stuff is in the future, and just separate them, just so you can be here, is the biggest thing we could ever learn.
Do you, I think drama schools, they've started to introduce yoga and mindfulness, but in terms of this kind of training, they're quite slow to evolve. And I just wondered what your kind of thoughts were on drama schools and this.
Well, I think drama schools have tough gigs. They've got to. I'm one of what's called an ambassador for the Lear Academy over here, which is affiliated to RADA in the UK. It's kind of like the Irish RADA route. Oh. And so I do a lot of kind of coaching with some of the actors in there, and I know a lot of them anyway. And they really love the training because the training is so powerful and it's so good. And yet, they come out at the end of it. I spoke to, when was it? I spoke to one of the students there a few weeks ago, And she came out and she was in absolute bits because she'd been through the final, the showcase, and she'd done the, the agents had come out, and practically everybody else had got an agent, but not her. Oh. So she was in absolute despair. Yeah. And I thought that's really weird because she's a really, really fine actor. I really would have thought someone would have picked her up,
Yeah.
And, that was it. And so we did a little session. We released all of that. She got an agent a week later.
Really?
Because when you stop obsessing about the thing that's in the way, the obstacle, then there can be a space for it to appear.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to get sometimes. But I know that from my own experience as well. That's what happens. When you get so kind of like caught up in something, usually it's because we're in what's known as foveal vision. And foveal vision means you focus on a single thing. It's like when we get, you get tense here, this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
You're focused on it, you're obsessed about the fact you didn't get the job, or you're obsessed about the fact that she got that gig, or you're obsessed about the fact that the business is not fair, or whatever the thing is that you're running as a kind of like as a pattern. But if you allow yourself to just what I call go into peripheral vision. And peripheral vision is literally opening up your perspective. Now, I don't know if you can feel this now at all. Can you feel that change?
Yes.
Can you feel
Very
that in your body?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in your mind and body, when you allow that to happen, everything starts to change. Because your mind cannot hold a negative or a tense or a stressful thought when you're in peripheral vision. Now, you can probably feel that in your body now.
Yes, definitely. Feel much more relaxed.
Much more relaxed.
Yeah.
You can probably feel that it's like you can imagine that you can see behind you now. I know you can't really, but imagine if you could sense that going behind your body now. Feel that you had even more of that perspective opening up.
Yeah, that very much brings you into the moment, doesn't it? If you're not in your awareness.
Yeah. So if your awareness is there, and if you know how to go from tense foveal vision where you all get very stuck and stressed, if you catch yourself doing that, just allow yourself to go into peripheral vision, because that will always allow your body to relax naturally, easily, and effortlessly.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
It's actually a hardwired condition of the brain as well. Just as you can be, you've probably heard about the fight or flight response.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's an ancient way that the brain used to work, right? When we were Stone Age people, we really need to know how to evaluate the saber-toothed tiger coming around the corner. We needed to figure out, is this a friendly saber-toothed tiger or not?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, they weren't, so we ran, right? Or we could fight the saber-toothed tiger and decide to kill it. And that's what the brain does in these situations. Now, for actors nowadays, the saber-toothed tiger is more often an audition or an agent or a kind of another actor or something like that. And we're often filled with this kind of like, which way am I going to... But if you just go into peripheral vision and realize that there are no saber-toothed tigers anywhere in Peckham these days.
Because you can't, you need to have control over your mind, body, and your thoughts, and you can't do that in fight or flight mode, can you? So
you cannot. So it really is impossible. So that in and of itself. I mean, I have a friend of mine who I coach, a guy called Luca Fiorucci, who is a lovely guy. He's an Italian-American guy, lives over here in Dublin. And he wrote me a really nice testimonial saying, thank you so much for, I've just discovered your free videos about peripheral vision. It's amazing. I just got a gig on a film. called The Fixer. I thought, oh, this is great. It's lovely to hear that, you know. And then turns out that I got that film as well.
Oh,
he
wow.
didn't know that. So we were sitting around, the two of us were sitting around, you know, where actors chat on set, you know, and this Luca was telling everybody about this guy who did this thing for him. You know, it was like, it's an amazing story. He said, yeah, I saw this free video. It was incredible. It was about peripheral vision. And then I just kind of did it. And I went into the room and I was so chilled when I went in there. And then he went, oh my God. He realized it was me. Because I was actually in uniform. We were playing kind of like soldiers. It's a Netflix film, you know, bizarre. Yeah. But anyway, it was weird experience. So those are the kind of things that happen when you are open to change.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, things change more when you're ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're open to it as well.
Yeah.
What is, because you do quite a lot of videos and a lot of online courses. What's your most, I guess, popular course?
Well, I do a lot on the site, nickdunning.com. What I do is I do a whole load of stuff. I do a load of free training for people to help them to understand some of the sort of stuff I'm trying to teach, which is about being in the moment, really. It's pretty much what it is. And so those courses, I mean, there's the affirmations course. It's very powerful because it's about the way we think and what we think. Mm-hmm. And it's not positive thinking, because I think often what happens, people kind of go, you know, positive thinking is one of those things is really tricky, you know, because you read these things that, you know, a guru says, you know, if you say to yourself, you know, over and over and over, the world is unfolding exactly as I wish, and the universe is blessing me with all its blessings. And then there's another bit of your brain that goes, give me a break. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. You don't deserve that. No, I really want all the eternal blessings of the universe are coming back. Shut up. What are you saying? You're not like, you know. So you have to learn. First of all, we've got to learn that there is this part of us that kind of criticizes. What I call, you know, the negative voice, the critical voice, whatever you want to call it. And so you have to become aware of that, and you have to handle that. That's the first thing. And then when you start to make changes at the unconscious level, then change can happen in an instant, because that's where all change occurs. It can occur really quickly. It may take a moment for things to happen, because you see, I believe anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible for anyone. And the only thing that gets in our way, generally speaking, is our thinking and ourselves, you know, and our perceptions and the way we look at things, you know. When we can get that out of the way, then we can be more where we are. We can be who we are.
Yeah.
Which is, you know those days where, you know, when you're kind of like, have you ever noticed you can be in a rehearsal and it's just the best day ever? You know, and everything is just flowing, and it's like, oh my, you know, it's effortless.
Yes.
And you just got all these ideas are coming in, and you're channeling this. Suddenly, you're the most amazing Olivia. You know, you just, this is like, and you don't even know, you don't even have to make any connection. You just know how to speak Shakespeare. It comes. Mm-hmm. And other days you're kind of going, oh, gee, I cannot stand Shakespeare. I hate it. What the hell is this about? Or whatever I'm playing with, or my other actors. Or those days that come up and down are just symptomatic of the way we think. That's all it is. It's just dust. It's just dust.
How long do you think it takes of kind of to actually change the subconscious, to get to a point where you are really changing how you're thinking?
Well, I could ask you the same question. Did you notice when you were doing the peripheral vision that things changed?
That's true. Yes. Yeah. So straight away is the answer. Yeah.
Straight away. It's that quick. Now, with anything, you need to practice it, because this is the neuro part of it, right? As you may or may not know, I don't know, but the brain itself works a bit like imagine it looks a bit like a cauliflower, right? A cauliflower. So you say a cauliflower, and you look at the outside of the cauliflower, and there's very small actually, let's use broccoli. Broccoli is much better, and it's a nicer colour too. So imagine a big head of broccoli in your brain, and there's the little buds on the end, right? Those are the little tiny thoughts, little thoughts and doubts and flickering ideas. As you get closer to the center of the broccoli, you notice that it thickens, and it's a stronger connection. And as you get towards the middle of the broccoli, it becomes really quite thick and solid. And that's exactly the way that the brain works in terms of repetition. When you repeat something, you may have heard about this, 10,000 hours, this is the way, actually that's true and it's not true. You kind of, you need to repeat things. Absolutely. So if you, like for example, with the peripheral vision, when you repeat that over time, that becomes a natural state. You just got to do it. And often what happens, most of my coaching is about suggesting to people, did you forget to do that? Well, bring yourself back to that. Just bring that back up. Or remember this part of yourself. Or, what about that part of you that knows to be in flow? Bring that more to the surface. And then you can do anything, because anything's possible.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, by the way, I'd like to give a caveat. I am not a guru. I am completely just as neurotic as any other actor you've ever met. Right? I go through struggles all the time. Our brains are like this. We are consistently kind of neurotic and weird and strange and curious.
Yeah.
And we do weird, bizarre things. We do. And I always try and bring myself back to what it is that I know works for me, what I call my sort of success rules. For me personally, they're individual. But for me, when I'm exercising, I'm eating well, I'm kind of going up the hill, I'm swimming in the sea, I'm kind of doing all that stuff, and I'm thinking, I deserve all this stuff. I love it when it comes my way. It's great. I love this business. I love being part of it. It fills me up. It's infectious. It's kind of like that part of me that remembers what it was like when I was like 5 or 6 and first did school plays. It's that bit. Oh God, yeah. The magic in the shop. The sweet shop is still there.
Yeah.
I still feel like that. I feel, oh my God, the luckiest kid on earth.
Absolutely. And presumably you still experience fear and every now and again.
Oh, no. I've long got rid of fear now. No. Press nights are an absolute dream for me now.
Absolute doddle.
No, of course I experience fear, but I experience fear because it's an emotion. We all, human beings feel fear. It's an emotion. To feel the fear and do it anyway. I mean, that's the best advice. Actually, you're going to feel fear. It's going to come up, whatever you like. If you're experiencing fear on some level, one of the things I find very helpful is that it is, neurologically, it's exactly the same as excitement. It's kind of an interesting thing because we call, they've done this sort of thing with MRI scans, and they, they take, the body goes through the tube. And they see, these digital imagery of what it looks like, and they see the colours, and they can take the pictures and the colours of people who are experiencing fear and those who are experiencing excitement and enthusiasm, and they're virtually identical. And what happens is the linguistic part of the brain, where we call one experience fear, and we call another one excitement. And generally speaking, fear is negative and excitement is positive. So when we call, our enthusiasm, it's great, I'm so enthusiastic. It's great. But when we experience fear, we go, I was terrified. But if you allow the feeling just to be there anyway, because you're going on stage, right?
Yeah.
And why did we train to be actors? How was I able to get back on that stage that night? I often ask myself that. I do. I often ask myself that. I thought, I have no idea. Do you know what? I did.
And you felt amazing.
Well, I think when you conquer things, you do feel great. Yeah.
It's like the flip side of the emotion, isn't it? I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That set me off on a whole kind of specific. That's why we're talking together now. from that day, I track it back to that day. Feeling that fear that was just so debilitating and so, crippling. When you flip it and go through it, realize it's part of your journey.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm always curious to know kind of why people act. Is there one reason for you? Or
sharing, storytelling, really, I think. And I think stories connect people. Just that.
Because it's so powerful. That's how the world is kind of run, by stories, even politicians.
Absolutely.
Everywhere.
Totally. Everything is a story. Everything is a story. And that's how we communicate to each other, the current incumbent of the White House, Yeah. There's a story.
Yeah, gosh. What would you say has been the kind of most challenging aspects of your career personally?
The most challenging? Getting back up and doing it again.
Yeah.
Being knocked down, and getting back. Getting back on the horse.
Yeah.
All I would say is, get back on the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine.
You know why you're on the horse.
Yeah.
You love the horse.
Exactly. I think you've always got to think back to that reason why you're doing it, haven't you? And that really kind of instills it and pushes you forward.
Yeah.
And equally, what do you think have been kind of the most rewarding aspects of your career? Because you stood up there with an award, and you've done phenomenal. So
well, there are kind of like actor gigs, that are kind of. I was wonderfully blessed to work. I worked with 5 nights of the British Theatre. That's pretty cool. I've done 3 shows with Gambon, who was one of my heroes when I watched him, all those years ago. And now I've worked with him, that kind of stuff is fantastic. I love that. I love working with actors. I really enjoy that. I like, I'm not averse to the red carpet. I like a bit of that as well. I think we all do. There's a bit of us that like it. We're all kind of often caught between this sort of, well, no, that's not for me. That's all a little bit tacky. And, oh yeah, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
So, I love that side of the business as well. I think it's great. I like the fact that it's all dreams and, potential and possibility. Yeah, I love all that. Yeah. But I think it's like, there are some nights in the theatre that I don't think I've ever been. But, yeah.
When you won your IFTA Award,
which is the Irish Film and they call it the IFTA.
Do they call it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Irish Film and Television Academy. Yeah.
When you stand up there and you're accepting it, does that change you, or do you think?
Very much so. At the moment, it's like first, you always hear people say, "I really didn't expect it to be me," and I really didn't.
Yeah.
And I really didn't. And you hear it, and it's a shock. It's a shock. It's a surprise. Maybe it's because we all naturally kind of couch, we're not sure. But yeah, it does affect you, it does. It's very powerful. It's a great resource to have to come back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must do wonders for those that NLP.
It does. It does. It helps that, for you to feel good whenever you want to. But actually, we have resource memories anyway that you can use. The resource memories that we have, I'm sure there are days that you can imagine and remember when, everything was just great. That's still inside you. Yeah. And you could, in fact, anyone can, focus on a time when you were feeling really great. Just imagine it now.
And you feel that same energy and emotion again.
You just did it.
Yeah.
And I give you a bit of feedback now. I can see your whole skin has just relaxed around your eyes.
Really?
Yeah, you went back to this thing, really kind of like relaxed. And when you allow that to continue and make that a daily practice of reminding yourself, refreshing yourself, encouraging. There's one of the free things I give away is a thing called the Yes Book. You start writing down all these things that you connect to, that were positive in your life. When you start doing that, they come back to the surface more and more often. Then when you go back into another audition, you feel great.
Yeah.
You know, it's a habit.
Yeah. Are there certain when you're going into audition, are there certain processes that you use consistently?
One of the things I do always is I always give myself what I call making bold decisions early. Like before something's going to happen, before a self-tape or before an audition or before with my agent or something like that, I make a bold decision about what's going to happen. I decide this is going to be the best self-tape I can possibly make. That's what it's going to be. This is going to be the best self-tape I can do. And I think of that in advance. Sometimes it can be days, weeks in advance. But you know what's great? When you make bold decisions early, what happens is when you arrive at the actual moment, first thing that comes into your mind is, I said I was going to make this the best thing ever. Because that's the way the brain works. It's patterned that way. So that's a really cool thing to do. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best meeting with my agent I can ever have.
I've heard of intending before, and I guess that's what that is, the intending.
Absolutely. Because you create the moment. You see, you're creating the moment all the time. The moment never changes. The moment is always now. And now. And now.
Yeah.
And now. Right? So if I create now, I'm making a bold decision on Monday. When I get there on Wednesday, I'm still in the now, but my memory of the now is make bold decisions early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
It's like using your brain the way it's designed to be used.
Yeah. It kind of touches on visualization as well.
Oh, God, visualization is what we do all the time. So when you start to harness that power and harness the power of visualization to work for you, I covered that quite a lot in the free courses. Another free course I do is a thing called 21 Ways to Raise Your Profile as an Actor. And that's a really cool thing to do because, these days, when I was growing up, as it were, in the business, we didn't have social media. We didn't have the thing really called a profile. Now you can grow your profile yourself. We can develop, Twitter. You can, like you've done, you created a website. That's a massive thing to do. Now, people say, so what do you do? Here's a card, or this is where I go, or here's my thing. People can see all about you now.
Yeah.
And you can have all that. It's phenomenal, Lisa. Phenomenal.
It's great that you're doing a course about that because, again, it's another thing that you don't get taught in drama school, isn't it? And it's something that no one tells you how to do. It has to create a strategy, what your branding is, all these different things. So any help is,
Well, I'm not an expert on social media by any means, but what I do know is that there are 21 ways that you can actually improve what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And to become aware of the fact, a lot of people don't even know that actually if you begin to build this presence, it has an effect. I'll give you an example. One of my students, Katie Sheridan, she's been with me now as a coaching client for about three years, I think. And when she first started out, she had a very tricky transition to make because she's very young looking, and she had appeared as a younger actor, as a kind of child actor really, in a show called Genie in the House, which was like hugely popular. And then she moved. She was growing up. She wanted to kind of So we did a bit of transitioning work into helping that. And one of the things that she was saying was that she wasn't getting enough confidence and wasn't being recognised enough. So I said, well, why don't we do something to build your confidence? So she said, well, yeah, like what? I said, well, how about making a web series? And she went, okay, I'll try that. So she started with a web series. She got a friend of hers who's a cameraman, and they sat down, they had a go, and just two of them, chit-chat, on the iPhone, put it up. A year and a bit later, 3 million views.
What? That's incredible.
Yeah, it's called Match Not Found, and it's an amazing thing that she's done. But That is extraordinary.
That's incredible.
Because obviously, that's a method of you can be, because as soon as you get to that kind of level, YouTube call on you and they say, would you like to become a YouTube partner?
Yeah.
Well, and here you go, and then you get a few quid coming in the bank as well. So it's a way of monetizing something. And tell me an actor who doesn't need a few quid coming in now.
No, exactly.
So it's but when I spoke to Katie last, one of the last sessions she was doing, because she's done loads of work now. She's got episodes of Doctors. She's done things on. She's done a huge commercial for Oral B, and makes very good reward. And she's done lots of other feature films and horror films and all sorts of things. But the biggest thing I said, she said the best thing about doing that was she learned, even though it's only on YouTube, she learned how to write, produce, edit, and shoot a film.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same process that you can use to create your own short film, a feature film. It's exactly the same thing.
And a show reel as well.
Absolutely. And not only that, when she puts that out there now, people now know that she's got this profile. And she says, even when an audition comes up, she remembers that because she feels more confident because she's done things, she's taken charge of her world, she's made it into something, and she feels the confidence of that, and that flows throughout everything she does. So there are many reasons for doing these things, getting out there, becoming visible, very important.
And that's the thing, it doesn't matter if it's not always about the money aspect of it, is it? It's about the craft and the enjoyment and practice.
Yeah, money's never the thing. It's always to do with how you feel and how it brings you forward and how it moves you forward as a person. Because you grow, you develop, you change, you can become more confident. Yeah. All of those things happen continually.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Is there any part of the process of acting that you don't enjoy?
Yeah, being told I didn't get the job. I don't enjoy it. I do not enjoy that. No, don't enjoy that. But as I said, I kind of go, but I don't enjoy it. No.
Because I know some people kind of struggle with learning lines or maybe the research.
Everyone struggles with learning lines. Yeah, absolutely. But going back to peripheral vision, is one of the things I teach on one of the training courses. Is like when you're in peripheral vision, when you're completely relaxed, that's when you can download more information. Just the way it is. So why not be in peripheral vision to learn your lines?
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of just makes sense. So I learn very, very quickly now. But it's still the work to do. It's still the donkey work. Yeah.
If you were to speak to yourself as an 18-year-old again and knowing all the knowledge that you know, what would you say to yourself?
Oh, get over yourself. Stop worrying. Get on with it. Get out there and have fun. Enjoy it. Get out there. It's brilliant. Get on with it. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. What next? Yeah, come on. Let's do something. Let's go. Let's create something. Let's make something. Let's make a difference. Let's change things. Let's do something. Let's JFDI.
So don't worry, basically, and just do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's something you really want to do. You built this amazing website, You just did it.
Yeah.
Most actors talk about doing things.
They do.
As you've probably noticed.
Yeah.
You can do it. It's you got to do it. Just got to do it.
Yeah, you do. And I have one last question. Maybe we'll end on a story with this. What's your most embarrassing career moment that you could tell us about?
Which one?
Really?
Well,
gosh.
I think the worst one. I do think it is the worst one. Actually, is. I will preface this by saying I was very stressed at the time. I think we'd had our second baby. I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted, and filming as well. And this, absolutely knackered. I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the cinema and just claim a bit of time for me. I thought that's what I'm going to do. And you go in the cinema and it's really dark. And I thought, okay, I've got a huge bucket of popcorn, one of these ones, and a massive, kind of huge Diet Coke filled with ice and tube. One of those, literally. And then pitch black, I'm walking in there, and you have to, excuse me, sorry. you know, you're trying to get to your seat, and I had to move someone around, and I kind of caught, I tripped like that, and I squashed this thing with one elbow and the other, and all the popcorn went over this person in front. I turned around, and then all the Diet Coke went over this guy as well. I completely turned.
Oh gosh.
And then he turned around, and it was Ken Loach.
Oh my gosh. What an introduction.
And the weirdest thing was, I actually saw him sometime later for a movie. Not long after that, actually.
Really? And did he recognise you?
Oddly enough, I didn't get the film. No. Oh, I'm absolutely, it was mortifying.
That's a great story. Of all the people that it could have been. Oh, brilliant. Nick, you're absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And if anyone would like to come along to the site, it's nickdunning.com, and there's loads of free training and there's loads of stuff. You can take up the skills to the next level if you want. Got a big thing called Self-Taping Secrets coming out very soon. We've got, you can become a member of Total Vision Magician. That's real good fun. And I'd love to see you on board, so come along.
Please do, yes.
And all the very best for your website. I think it's great you're doing what you're doing. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye now.